Hey, this is DJ Mortal, and today we're going to be looking at a build that has been designed by a good friend and clanmate of mine, JDubb. Now, this build is all centered around the premise of having endless devour, endless weakening, and volatile rounds, unraveling rounds, and just general carnage caused by all of our void and strand buffs and debuffs. Now, the basic premise of this build is all centered around an endless loop created with our exotic, the Buried Bloodline. Unfortunately, this is a dungeon exotic, and you may or may not have had the RNG luck that's required to gain this. However, if you are one of the lucky people out there that has not only got the gun, but has the catalyst, you are in for some fun. Now, first of all, with the Buried Bloodline, it fires 2 tracking bolts, and landing these bolts will leech health from the enemy. What this means is if you keep getting hits, very similar to Lament, you will start getting health back. We're not talking huge amounts here, but every little helps. Couple this with the exotic weapon perk Violent Reanimation, where multiple final blows with this weapon grant Devour, we are already in for some serious health regen. But then on top of that, the catalyst adds weakening to the weapon whenever your Devour is active. So we have a gun that activates Devour and then adds weaken on Devour, and while all this is happening, every time you're getting hit, gives you health. Fantastic start. Now, the real power for this build is actually in the subclass setup. So first of all, with Super, we can either go with Deadfall or Mobius Quiver, depending on the activity you're going to be playing through. Personally, I prefer Deadfall, but if you want that burst damage, then Mobius is your friend. We're going to use Gambler's Dodge to refund all of our melee energy every time we dodge near an enemy. Now, the grenade is dealer's choice. Personally, I go with Vortex, as it just drags everything in. However, Scatter Grenade is also very powerful and has a much shorter cooldown. So these are the two that I would recommend you think about. With our aspects, first of all, Vanishing Step, so dodging will make us invisible, pretty standard for any Void Hunter build. And we're going to pair that with Stylish Executioner. Stylish Executioner will grant us invisibility and true sight any time we defeat a void debuffed enemy. And also, while we're invisible following a Stylish Execution, anything we melee will be weakened. So moving on to our fragments, we're going to begin with Echo of Harvest, where defeating a weakened target will create an Orb of Power and a Void Breach. Void Breaches, of course, will then give us back our class ability energy. And we're going to couple this with Echo of Starvation, where picking up either a Void Breach or an Orb of Power will grant Devour. This is going to form the key loop of this build. i.e., Buried Bloodline will grant you Devour on multi-kills, and when Devour's active will weaken targets. Weakened targets will then drop Orbs of Power and Void Breaches thanks to Echo of Harvest, and when we pick up that Void Breach or Orb of Power, Echo of Starvation will extend Devour, meaning that Buried Bloodline can continue weakening, and round we go. The next fragment we're going to use is Echo of Instability, where defeating targets with grenades grants volatile rounds. So we've got plenty of healing, so now it's time to go on the offensive. And we're going to couple that with Echo of Persistence, where any void buff applied to us have increased duration, in this case, our Devour. So now we have our subclass set up, let's move on to the exotic we're going to be utilising. And in this build, because we have the invisibility and Devour all built in with our subclass and exotic weapon, we can instead focus on our super. So we're going to utilise the Orpheus Rig, giving us approximately 50% of our super energy back per super deployment. When putting together your armour on D2 Armour Picker or DIMS Optimizer, however you choose to pick your armour, you want to prioritise 100 resilience, discipline as high as you can possibly get it, and then your third priority is mobility. Recovery is redundant due to devour, and intellect and strength are nice to have, but not essential for this build. So next we're going to move on to the mods for this build. And on the helmet, we're going to start with double harmonic siphon, so we get better orbs from multi-kills with void weapons. And on top of that, we're going to add on a special ammo finder, as Buried Bloodline is a special ammo sidearm. On our arms, we're going to take Bolstering Detonation, which grants class ability energy when you cause damage with a grenade. We're going to take Impact Induction, which shortens our grenade cooldown when we use a powered melee. And we're going to use Firepower, where grenade final blows grant orbs of power. On our chest, we're going to take Harmonic Reserves, so we have additional ammo for our Buried Bloodline and our equipped Void Heavy. Damage resists are optional based on the activity you're completing. On our legs, we will take Innovation, which reduces grenade cooldown whenever you pick up an orb of power. Orbs of Restoration, where picking up an orb of power grants a small amount of energy to your ability with the least energy. And Absolution, which reduces all ability cooldowns each time you pick up an orb of power. These three mods combined will return between 30 and 40% of our grenade on a single orb pickup. Moving on to the class item, we're going to take Bomber, which reduces cooldown on our grenade when we use our class ability. Powerful Attraction, so when we use our class ability it will collect orbs nearby, feeding into all of our leg mods. And a Reaper, to generate orbs of power whenever we kill something within 10 seconds of using the class ability. Thinking about what weapons we're going to pair with this build, in the primary slots you want any good strand weapon, preferably primary. If you have anything with hatchling, that is just going to add to the carnage, but anything will do. And for heavy, any good solid void. Personally, I'm going with Commemoration for its ad clearing capabilities, and as mine's crafted with Killing Tally, good boss DPS as well. Now this build doesn't actually require any of the artifact perks that are available. However, in Season 23 we have Unravelling Orbs, which will give us Unravelling Rounds to our strand weapon when we pick up an orb. This can be coupled with Horde Shuttle, where if we damage unravelled targets with a weapon they will spawn threadlings. We also have Wished Into Being, where you will get additional orbs when your super is almost fully charged. And Dragon's Bite, where breaking a combatant's shield with a strand or stasis weapon has a chance to suspend or freeze that target. Again, none of these are essential, but they are quite beneficial. And if you're going into anything with a Taken or Scorn combatant, From Whence You Came also won't hurt. So here's the gameplay loop. First of all, throw your smoke bomb to weaken an enemy and kill it with Buried Bloodline. This will proc Devour, meaning that Buried Bloodline now weakens as it goes. You should have also picked up an orb, allowing you to now have Unravelling Rounds. Spray this around with your primary and go to town. The endless Devour loop of Bloodline Harvest and Starvation, coupled with the orb generation that we have, and Volatile, and Unravelling Round uptime, means we're able to easily clear huge waves of ads with very little risk to ourselves. This is true even in high level content. Now the last piece to show you with this build is our super cooldown. And I just want to be clear, I wasn't actually planning to put this in, so this was an afterthought. So I wasn't actually trying specifically to get the super cooldown as low as possible. However, with that said, just generally playing the game, I was able to get my super back in a little over 27 seconds. Theoretically, this could drop down to nearer 20 with optimised play. So there we have it. That is Dubby's Devouring Void Rig. Slight optimisation from Dubby's original just to properly synergise everything, but this thing is a monster. Endless Devour, endless weakness, endless unravelling, endless volatile, and it's just good fun to play. Let me know in the comments what you think, and if you're feeling incredibly generous, please drop a like and subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching and have a great day.